There is only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self. There are things known and there are things unknown, and in between are the doors of perception. It is a bit embarrassing to have been concerned with the human problem all one's life and find at the end that one has no more to offer by way of advice than, try to be a little kinder. Maybe this world is another planet's hell. That men do not learn very much from the lessons of history is the most important of all the lessons of history. The more powerful and original a mind, the more it will incline towards the religion of solitude. Great is truth, but still greater, from a practical point of view, is silence about truth. By simply not mentioning certain subjects, totalitarian propagandists have influenced opinion much more effectively than they could have by the most eloquent denunciations. To travel is to discover that everyone is wrong about other countries. The propagandist's purpose is to make one set of people forget that certain other sets of people are human. The most valuable of all education is the ability to make yourself do the thing you have to do, when it has to be done, whether you like it or not. The most shocking fact about war is that its victims and its instruments are individual human beings, and that these individual beings are condemned by the monstrous conventions of politics to murder or be murdered in quarrels not their own. Dream in a pragmatic way. The worst enemy of life, freedom and the common decencies is total anarchy. Their second worst enemy is total efficiency. Perhaps it's good for one to suffer. Can an artist do anything if he's happy? Would he ever want to do anything? What is art, after all, but a protest against the horrible inclemency of life? There isn't any formula or method. You learn to love by loving, by paying attention and doing what one thereby discovers has to be done. Chastity, the most unnatural of all the sexual perversions. There's only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that's your own self. What is absurd and monstrous about war is that men who have no personal quarrel should be trained to murder one another in cold blood. A belief in hell and the knowledge that every ambition is doomed to frustration at the hands of a skeleton have never prevented the majority of human beings from behaving as though death were no more than an unfounded rumor. Consistency is contrary to nature, contrary to life. The only completely consistent people are dead. There is something curiously boring about somebody else's happiness. A childlike man is not a man whose development has been arrested. On the contrary, he is a man who has given himself a chance of continuing to develop long after most adults have muffled themselves in the cocoon of middle-aged habit and convention. Most of one's life is one prolonged effort to prevent oneself thinking. There's only one effectively redemptive sacrifice, the sacrifice of self-will to make room for the knowledge of God. The impulse to cruelty is, in many people, almost as violent as the impulse to sexual love, almost as violent and much more mischievous. Proverbs are always platitudes until you have personally experienced the truth of them. Your true traveler finds boredom rather agreeable than painful. It is the symbol of his liberty, his excessive freedom. He accepts his boredom, when it comes, not merely philosophically, but almost with pleasure. An unexciting truth may be eclipsed by a thrilling lie. The secret of genius is to carry the spirit of the child into old age, which means never losing your enthusiasm. After silence, That which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. Experience is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. Technological progress has merely provided us with more efficient means for going backwards. Beauty is worse than wine. It intoxicates both the holder and beholder. Facts do not cease to exist because they are ignored. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you mad. An intellectual is a person who's found one thing that's more interesting than sex. To his dog, every man is Napoleon, hence the constant popularity of dogs. Experience teaches only the teachable. Every man's memory is his private literature. Most ignorance is vincible ignorance. We don't know because we don't want to know. A fanatic is a man who consciously overcompensates a secret doubt. Speed provides the one genuinely modern pleasure. God isn't compatible with machinery and scientific medicine and universal happiness. You must make your choice. Our civilization has chosen machinery and medicine and happiness. I'm afraid of losing my obscurity. Genuineness only thrives in the dark. Like celery. Every man who knows how to read has it in his power to magnify himself, to multiply the ways in which he exists, to make his life full, significant and interesting. Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. Several excuses are always less convincing than one. Science has explained nothing. The more we know, the more fantastic the world becomes and the profounder the surrounding darkness. My fate cannot be mastered. It can only be collaborated with and thereby, to some extent, directed. Nor am I the captain of my soul. I am only its noisiest passenger. Everyone who wants to do good to the human race always ends in universal bullying. People intoxicate themselves with work so they won't see how they really are. Man is an intelligence in servitude to his organs. My father considered a walk among the mountains as the equivalent of church-going. Sons have always a rebellious wish to be disillusioned by that which charmed their fathers. Hell isn't merely paved with good intentions, it's walled and roofed with them. Yes, and furnished too. Feasts must be solemn and rare, or else they cease to be feasts. Cynical realism is the intelligent man's best excuse for doing nothing in an intolerable situation. Words, words, words. They shut one off from the universe. 3/4 of the time one's never in contact with things, only with the beastly words that stand for them. Habit converts luxurious enjoyments into dull and daily necessities. The quality of moral behavior varies in inverse ratio to the number of human beings involved.